Welcome to the first episode of Thoroughbred Declassified. My name is Nikki Morris, and I am joined today by my father and co-host Ryan Campbell, as well as my husband Justin Morris. Now, I'm so excited we're finally sitting down and filming this first episode because this project has been 2 years in the making.
Yeah, we sat down a couple nights ago and tried to produce our first episode. Had some technical difficulties trying to, get exactly what we wanted. So we did release a little bit of an intro of what the podcast is going to be about, a bit about our history, the 20 years in the business that we've, been breeding, having racehorses, owning stallions, and just really big fans of the sport as well as being in the sport.
I think the thing that we're most passionate about is bringing the story behind racing to the forefront so everyone can enjoy these stories and the reasons why we got into the business. I mean, you'll see it in the video that he's referencing. For me, I first fell in love with horse racing in 2006 thanks to Pharaoh, his Kentucky Derby. And Dad had a similar experience for his reason into getting into horse racing.
Yeah, when you were growing up, you always used to say that your Barbaro was my swale.
Yep,
So,
I
it
still stand
really,
by that.
and the bad thing is they both had the same tragic ending. But we also want to bring to the forefront that to be in this industry, to participate in this industry, you don't have to be a billionaire. This is an industry that anybody can get into. And the things that we're going to talk about are things that we wish we had known when we first got into the industry 20 years ago. But we also want to throw in some entertainment value, um, some history of the sport, tell the stories behind some of these racehorses instead of, oh, they won this week, they're going to be in next week. A lot of horses have a really fun backstory, a heartwarming backstory.
There's a lot of horses, especially now, to root for. And I think oftentimes, because horse racing is called the sport of kings, it kind of creates this idea that when you're at the top level, you have to have this insane amount of money, live this lavish life that is so out of touch from the everyday horse owner. So I think one thing I'm really excited about with this podcast is being able to show people, even in the show world, who are kind of like us, only the show version, we're not that much different from the average horse owner, and I think it's really fun to be able to bring that to the forefront.
And it really looks like, if you're watching on TV or on the internet, that the horses and the people who get showcased are the billionaires and the extremely rich people. But the vast majority of people involved in racing are average income, you know, upper middle class type people who are literally working day to day to be able to afford their passions.
For sure.
Yeah.
So
So this week and last week, I know your head was spinning with all of the things that you did this past week. Why don't you give us a little update on some of the things that you did?
yeah, so last week was always I'm always busy. That I've just kind of come to accept it. But last weekend was really fun because I was able to get to the track. I try and get out and see our baby racehorse True Train at least twice a month if I can. And this week, she was picking up the pace for the first time. So went there Saturday morning, and our trainer had a horse in at Keeneland later that day. So I offered to go get content of that horse for him. So got to go into the new paddock at Keeneland, got to see some people that I dreamed of meeting when I was kids. And yeah, it was just so fun. I've been in the paddock at Keeneland before, obviously not with this new renovation, but it's always a really cool moment because, we saw Keeneland in Dreamer, and you just kind of never really think that you're going to have that opportunity to just sit there and look and see the stone and the arches, and it's just really a surreal moment. So that was definitely the highlight of my weekend.
Yeah, and you brought up Dreamer. Dreamer is one of those, probably really influential in some of the things you got to do growing up. You
I
know,
feel like Kale Crane is my brand at this point. I had Sketchy sent me a meme of something about Kale Crane being so cool as a kid, and he's like, "Why is this you?" And I'm like, "Oh, called out."
yeah. I mean, because we lived in Indiana and got to Lexington as much as possible when you were younger. And, one of the first trips down there, it was very important to take you on the same walk that Kel Crane had at Ashford Stud, and to be able to see the Giants Causeway. And by that time, Grand Slam had already passed away. But those at that age, I don't believe you ever dreamed
Mm.
that this was the life you were going to end up living at the same time.
No, because it's very much something that I mean, like you said, it's a dream. And because it is a sport of kings, sometimes it seems so inaccessible because everything is so dramatic and beautiful and almost, I mean, you can feel the history in it. So and that's going to Keeneland, you feel that. So that's why, hopefully this time next year, we have a little red filly running at Keeneland and you'll get that same experience.
And to me, Keeneland is probably my favorite track.
Yeah.
It's large, but it's not so large that it's not, you know, I hate to say homey, but
We need to get you here during opening weekend and we'll test if you still think it's large.
well, re- remember going down there for the bluegrass when you were younger, and there
Yeah.
wasn't enough room to, you're rubbing shoulders with everybody just to be able to see the racetrack.
Yeah.
But, it's got the classic older style, you know, grounds, and, the history that goes on behind there. And yes, Churchill Downs has that history, the Twin Spires, but it's really a very modern facility at the same time. I
I
think,
feel like it's the Midwest's answer to Del Mar. Santa Anita would be Churchill and Del Mar would be Keeneland.
Yeah, I like
yeah,
that. I
and
like that.
it's the Midwest answer to Saratoga.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
Yeah.
That's even better.
And Saratoga is definitely, never been to the track, always got to see, you know, posts online and TV shows online, or on TV about Saratoga, and would love to go there. We've had horses that we now own as broodmares, or stallions that have run there, and we've got video of that. But it's definitely one of those bucket list items, is to get up to, you know Saratoga and see that. No, and I have way more desire to go to, um, boy, I'm drawing a blank. It's not Santa Anita, Del Mar. I have way more desire to go to Del Mar than to go to Santa Anita.
Yeah.
That if
Yeah.
I go to a track in California, Del Mar is the one I want to go to. The
I'm torn
history alone
because
behind
the
that track.
history at Santa Anita is just insane. But it's the same way the experience of Del Mar, you just can't top it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Right.
almost like that's kind of why Gulfstream is also up there for me.
Yeah.
Gulfstream, I think, would be a really fun one to go to.
And get to it during the winter when it's cold here,
Yep.
and it's warm down there.
Helps that the weather's nice.
And see, I'd like to go to, Tampa.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Tampa is pretty important to our
Yeah.
stallions, at least Mr. Lintenor.
Not just Mr. Lintnor.
And Tapit.
Tapit won the Tampa Bay Derby
Yep.
and set the stakes record when he won it. So, um, and we go back to how things all interconnect with us. Barbaro was, probably one of your favorite horses of all time, and then actually 5 years later, we end up with his full brother,
Yep.
and have, and which is really hard to believe. We ended up getting or Lintnor, and have had him. I mean, he turns 19 next year.
And we
So
have Lintenor's all-time leading earner and his
yeah,
stakes winner, which is also a fun tie that we've got 2 generations of that family.
yeah, and 2 generations of Icebox's family now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So this week, well, actually not this week, today, we had the announcement that Patch Adams was injured in training and that he's going to be standing at WinStar. What's kind of your thoughts on Patch Adams?
We're getting to a point where there's so many into Mischiefs that are out there that are going to stud. But I always like the sprinting or miler into Mischiefs for stallion prospects. I mean, I don't know if Patch Adams is going to be like Golden Sense because Golden Sense himself was a pretty durable horse on the track. But that's typically the body that those horses produce. So I feel like he's got a good shot. I don't think he's by any means the top of the class for the into Mischiefs. That's going to be heading to stud more than likely next year.
Right.
But I do like him.
I'd say he's more along the lines of maybe Practical Joke.
Yeah, I could see that.
You know, now the interesting part about him is his first dam is a distorted humor mare, which, you know, once again speed,
Mm-hmm.
but you know, the second dam is she produced uh, Parchment Party and American Patriot, which those are also sprinter milers.
Mm-hmm.
But that second dam is the full sibling to Well Armed, who has an absolute amazing story behind
Yeah.
him. He won the Dubai World Cup. He was actually injured, early in his career, and they never thought he was going to come back. And you know, the owners at WinStar just basically hand did him through
He was the
swimming and
one that
doing.
had colic surgery, didn't he?
He had, it may have been colic surgery. I
I
know,
believe it was colic surgery before the Dubai World Cup.
and Bill Kasner swam him and
Mm-hmm.
took him down to Texas and just basically brought him back from a career ending situation, and then he goes out and wins the Dubai World Cup by a massive amount.
So that's interesting because then you're bringing in influence of a horse that could win the Dubai World Cup. So that's distance.
Right,
And this horse, yeah, this horse was a sprinter, but I feel like that's going to give him some versatility as a sire prospect at least.
right. So anything else interesting coming up in the next week or so for you?
Uh, yeah, because by the time this airs, this already happened, so we can talk about this. So Nick was able to get a really cool opportunity. Jeff has a horse in a stake tomorrow as we
Oh, it's
film
not a
this.
mistake. It's just a race.
Okay, well, sorry.
Jeff has a horse named Polar Bear Plunge entered in a race at Keeneland, so we're gonna go out and get content of that horse. Just any excuse to go film at Keeneland, I'll take it. And then Friday, my work has a day out at the races. This is the perks of working for a horse racing company, especially if you're in Lexington, is during the Keeneland meet, your office days will end up being days at the races. So this is the third one we've had this year, and I'm really excited. And Saturday, I am going to a stallion party to go play security around the barn. But it's a stallion that we're actually going to have a baby from next year. So I'll be excited to get to see him. I haven't seen Seize the Gray since when was that? December. That was March when we had
Yeah,
the
it was.
breeding party.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
still cold out.
yeah, it was very cold out. I do remember that.
Well, I mean, and you've been fortunate enough. You've been to Churchill this year, in Horseshoe, Indianapolis, Keeneland, Kentucky
This last
Downs.
month, it's been 5 different tracks, which if you had told me that even 3 years ago, getting back into it, I don't think I would have believed you on that. But I did get to flex the perks of having an owner's license at Churchill to get a good parking spot. I felt pretty good about that. But yeah, I mean the tracks that we went to, it was Churchill, Horseshoe Indy, Ellis Park, Kentucky Downs, and I'm missing. Who am I missing?
You,
Belterra.
oh, you went to Belterra too. I
And
forgot about
Keeneland.
that.
So add Keeneland on
Yeah,
there. I guess I don't register Keeneland because we've been to it before. But yeah,
right.
so that's 6 different tracks now.
Yeah.
But you at least got to see the new paddock area, which Looks amazing from the videos that you sent me.
Yeah, they didn't have the dining area open yet, but they have a new paddock and then they have a new stakes winner circle, which is kind of like I believe Kentucky Downs has something similar for their paddock. So it's at the very front of their paddock. So after they win a stakes race, they have to come back under the tunnel and then straight back to where the Rolex tower is, the little Rolex clock.
Which any track that has a tunnel, you gotta love that. Just
Yeah,
stepping
I
out
was
into the sunlight out onto the track is, you know, what everybody thinks of with racing.
I miss the I miss that with Indiana Downs. I
Right.
guess now Horseshoe. It hasn't been like that in well over a decade at this point, but
Yeah, I think like 2012 is when that got shut down because of the casino being built.
yeah.
Yeah, my week was not nearly as exciting as yours. Um, it was a lot more physical. We had 9 babies that we had to trim their feet, and it's always good to start your babies early so you can do any type of corrective action on their feet to make sure that their legs are growing properly. Um, so, 3 of our babies happened to be the worst and beat me up the most. So,
How
one
would
of them,
you rank them?
worst to best.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like I'm gonna get called out.
Oakley was definitely the worst.
Okay,
She's
I'm sorry.
she didn't hurt me as bad as what Scout did, which you have named paranormal, and she's pretty paranormal.
She
Um,
was saying boo.
Fitting.
yeah. So, but Oakley was just Oakley. She's a handful. You got more spirit and than any of the other babies. The the best one was our Pinehurst filly, who is out of the immediate female family of 49er and Swale.
The little
Um,
filly that at this point can do no wrong. She has kind of turned like the underdog, like sleeper favorite of the family.
um, she's probably, I won't say she's my favorite overall. Oakley reminds me of somebody else, so that
Of
kind of
us.
helps.
Yeah.
But from a standpoint, we're keeping Oakley, so
Mhm.
we can put that emotional side into it. But it'll be definitely hard to send Goose through the sale.
Yeah.
Absolutely, completely excited about where her possibilities, because
Yeah.
from a standpoint of confirmation and her look. I mean, she just has that racehorse candy ride look to her. So
I feel like she is a proof of concept, at least for me, in an argument that we've kind of had over the last few years because Candy Ride, I wouldn't say is our favorite line. And there's a couple of studs that Dad and I disagree on. And it's always nice, in my opinion, when we disagree on those stallions and then one of us has the opportunity to kind of be like, all right, but you like this one, so
yeah,
how solid are you in that? And Goose is definitely that because, she's a Pinehurst, so when we bought her online, we didn't really expect a ton just because we weren't really huge Candy Ride fans. I was like, hey, I'm telling you, the Candy Ride body, it is very nice, and you're gonna like it when she starts filling out. And that's what
and then
happened. I
then
think she's kind of made us believers.
well, and then to do the research behind her breeding.
Hmm.
The mare is a cowboy cow mare. There's only been 5 horses to run off of that cross ever.
Hmm.
One of them is Gunite, who is a Grade 1 winner. There's a Preakness winner on that same cross. 2 stakes placed horses and one that just broke its maiden. So on that cross, out of 5, you get 2 Grade 1 winners and 2 stakes placed. It's definitely a cross that's worked in the past. Um, it's going to be a little harder for us to get her back to that cross. We don't
Hmm.
necessarily like breeding back to the same stallion 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
Luckily, we have access to our own stallions at the same time. That this year she'll probably be bred to Tapit, is what we're thinking, to bring that Seattle Slew AP Indy line back into that family, which has been really successful as well.
I think the thing that I'm excited about with that filly is, right now it's a sleeper family, but when you have those strong Phipps families where it's these legendary icons in there, it does repeat itself. It does become active again. So if she were to take off and do something, someone has a really nice little broodmare prospect in her just with that page.
And that family, I mean, we've talked about it on other platforms, but we've literally been trying to buy. Well, hey, Benny. We've been trying to buy into that female family for about 7 years now, and ironically, how you found it and called me and said, at the same time, she had been telling me no more. We're not buying any more broodmares. We're not
I
buying any
think
more
literally
broodmares.
the night before, I was like, we're done. No buy.
And I get a phone call that says, now, Dad, hear me out. And it took all of about 60 seconds, and I'm like, we're buying her.
Yeah.
I was like, I know we're on a no buy, but I'd hate myself if I did not tell you and this mare sells for this cheap.
Yeah. And what historically, some of the historic families in racing, the Hancocks, the Phipps, even all the way back to, the original owners of Calumet Farm, they cultivated these female families for generation after generation after generation, and were very successful at it. That's going to kind of be the cornerstone of our operation, and it's the whole reason we're keeping Oakley, is because of her mother, Daydon, her female family, which has everybody from Rags to Riches to Tacitus, Greatest Honor, Close Hatches.
How often are you able to buy into the Best in Show family, especially at an affordable rate? I mean, it's hard to do. We're just lucky she got overlooked.
Right. And, right now we're keeping her fillies because we want to be able to cultivate those families, later on. And, once they get done with their racing career, they'll go into the broodmare band. Sons or grandsons of Into Mischief. One of them, and a little bit of controversy for one of the fillies. But the very first race we're going to look at is the Claiborne Breeders' Futurity, ran at Keeneland.
And they're off in the Claiborne Breeders' Futurity. Awkward start
one of
for
them went
Spice
to their
Runner.
nose.
Went to his knees out of the gate and will be last for the move into the first turn. There goes Litmus Test for the lead on the outside. And Blackout Time is there to the inside. And Ted Noffey joins them up to the far outside in third as they move into the first turn. Big Dom will be in the fourth position. Angles out a lane off the rail midway on the first turn. Diciasette is next to last. And Spice Runner is last as they move off the first turn and onto the backstretch. Litmus Test the leader. Litmus Test against the rail leads it by a length and a half. Ted Noffey is second outward from the rail by a half length. Blackout Time is traveling along the inside in third. And then Big Dom nearly 5 lengths off the lead in fourth. A gap of 3 more back to Diciasette and Spice Runner last. 23.
So at this point in the race, Dad, who do you think is sitting the best?
Here comes Ted Noffey, midpoint of the backstretch. Starts to draw alongside of Litmus Test. Litmus Test to the inside, leads it by a half length. Ted Noffey is there up on the outside and second by a length. Blackout Time is third by a length as they go to the far turn. Big Dom is fourth, then a break of 7 more lengths. Back to Spice Runner.
They've got him
on
perfectly
the
placed.
48.23 seconds was the time for the first half mile. Midway on the final turn.
So at this point in time, who do you think is positioned best heading into
and
the
they're
turn?
matching strides now with a quarter mile to go. A gap of 3 more lengths to Blackout Time, who tries to pick them up, but still third. Big Dom has lost ground. Diciasette fifth. Spice Runner last. Ted Noffey has taken control heading into the short stretch, but is chased by Blackout Time on the outside. 2 lengths between them. Ted Noffey with the lead. Blackout Time in second.
I don't even
and
think
then Litmus Test in third. Ted Noffey now hits another gear, opens up in the closing strides. Ted Noffey to win the Claiborne Breeders' Futurity. John Velasquez, 4th win on the day.
Okay.
So What do you think?
I think that is a superstar. I mean, I think that's a very popular opinion at this point. But the thing that I really like to see is, when he's coming home, that very last bit of the stretch. I mean, he's powered down. That horse is hardly
Yeah.
trying by that time.
Well, I mean, once he got to the stretch, you just watch the jockey's hands. He's not asking for everything
Mm-mm.
at all.
Mm-mm.
If I were to make a prediction for the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, I would say he's definitely first or second in that Breeders' Cup Juvenile.
One thing that I'm just always a little skeptical about with Keeneland is it does have a kind of unique surface, and the horses that really like Keeneland, and the horses that don't like Keeneland, I mean, it's more common than not that horses don't like Keeneland because a lot of the tracks in America are a little bit more hard, a little bit more dusty, versus how Keeneland's pretty deep. So I'm always a little skeptical of putting so much weight into races ran at Keeneland. But I
But
definitely think,
if you watch his last race at Saratoga,
yeah,
it was a carbon copy of this.
yeah. So, I mean, like I said, that's something that, I'm a little bit more cautious of. But I do think, I mean, he is, in my opinion, the top of the division. So
Right.
that would be just the only thing that I could imagine could hold him up at the juvenile.
And then you've got the crazy how he was named.
Oh my gosh, if I was that journalist. So if you don't know how he got named is I don't remember what Ned's actual title is. I think he's the general manager of Spendthrift at this point.
Right. I think so too.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's a general manager. But he did this interview with a trade publication, and when they posted the article, they misspelled Ned Toffee's name to Ted Noffee. And the one thing I will say, Spendthrift has this talent of somehow correctly naming these top level horses. Because, of course, it's the ironic name that
Right.
the horse becomes a superstar.
Yeah.
Right.
What do you
So
think of?
like I said, I think he possibly will go off the favorite for the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, I would think. And then also you got to look down the road to the 3-year-old season.
Mm-hmm.
Does he have the ability to stretch out? Watching that race, I would say distance won't be a factor for that horse.
No,
But
I don't think distance will be an issue for him at all.
I will say I'm not at a point like I was with American Pharaoh with this horse.
That's a pretty lofty, standard you got to get to that.
Well, I mean, I was pretty gutsy about American Pharaoh.
Yeah.
He hadn't even raced yet as a 3-year-old, and I was saying he was going to be the Triple Crown winner. So I don't put him in that kind of a category, but he's going to be. It would not shock me him running away with the Breeders' Cup Juvenile and becoming 2-year-old of the year.
I can't remember. What's his bottom side?
To be honest with you, I haven't even looked.
I just know he is the funniest shade of gray. He reminds me of Victor.
Right.
You can tell he was born bay, had a big blaze, and now he's just he looks like what Oxbow did when Oxbow won the Breeders' Cup. Yep.
All right, next we're going to look at a filly race. This one was run at Belmont at the Big A. It's the Frazette. Let me get ready to show this, and we will eventually talk about how this ties into Mischief as well.
Okay.
And
goes in. All set for the grade 1 Frazette. And they're off. Good speed from Iron Orchard. In between horses, goes right out towards the front, is joined by Carmel Coast, and now Carmel Coast puts a neck in front of the rest of the field as they get set to come out of the chute. Riley Tolley is now in the early mix. They're going to be 1-2. Iron Orchard will settle off of them as a close-up third. Out wider comes Steer Clear, center of the racetrack, pretty tightly bunched up front. At the rail, Rena's Revenge sees a seam, and right now, Christopher Elliott wants to move up, moves forward. Rena's Revenge, a slick move there, is now taken fifth. Just behind her, that's going to be Jetty's Home, who's alone in sixth. And then towards the back end of the field, you've got Chopsticks and the red cap. Moving forward there is Ice Cream for Everyone, Lovely Christina. And the trailer at the back end of the field is 5 bars. In the frisette, the leader is Carmel Coast. Carmel Coast went 44-4 for a quick half-mile time. Here comes Steer Clear, is on the move 3 wide. In between horses, Riley Tolley trying to keep up. Rena's Revenge is trying to keep that momentum going as well. Iron Orchard starts to move. Iron Orchard 4 wide, but is about to secure third as they're still chasing Carmel Coast, who's all in. Trying to rally from the back 5 bars. The rest got to pick it up as they reach the top of the stretch. A quarter mile left to go. Carmel Coast has gone quick, but is still there. But Steer Clear is ready to pounce, and now Steer Clear has taken the lead. It's Steer Clear, Iron Orchard. Grandstand side is getting closer. Riley Tolley down towards the inside, but Iron Orchard is traveling best for Joel Rosario. Here comes Iron Orchard to come calling for the lead. Riley Tolley is battling back towards the inside. Iron Orchard, Riley Tolley, Iron Orchard, and Riley Tolley looked like Iron Orchard just hung on. Riley Tolley was very game to the inside. 5 bars, finishes third. 1 minute 30.
So, this is a daughter of Authentic, which was your 2020 Kentucky Derby winner. What do you think? I have my own opinions, but what do you think of the race?
I'm always going to be cheering on Authentic because I do think he's a horse that he's never going to be fully appreciated unless he has some huge horse, but he's never going to be fully appreciated as a son of Into Mischief because he doesn't typically throw the most precocious horses.
Right.
So it's really interesting to see her already developing this early. I think it was a really strong race. One thing I do notice is she has the very upright, authentic gait, which I feel like can help and hurt these horses because it makes them so quick. But when you watch her go down the stretch, she's not actually able to completely level out like most horses do. She doesn't really have a long and low stride. So I'd be very interested to see how she develops and maybe if that's something that she can develop moving forward. But I think she's really interesting.
She looks like him.
Just like him.
Yeah. The other thing that I like about the race that some of these other horses aren't going to get out of the race that will possibly help going into the Breeders' Cup is she had to fight.
Yeah.
And some of these other horses, they're winning so easy that if they actually get into a fight with another horse at the Breeders' Cup, they've never had that before. This filly shows grit that she'll keep fighting all the way to the wire.
She's very competitive. Like you can see, I mean, you could almost see her almost look at the horse on her inside and push forward.
Right. And the fractions on that race were quick. You know, and it's not like she was a heavy closer. She was running pretty close to those same fractions.
Yeah.
You know, right with them. So that's huge for that filly.
Like I said, I'm always excited for Authentic. You know, he's kind of had a tougher year with them dropping his stud fee as low as they did. And, you know, this is his first grade 1 winner as a stallion. And then he also got a grade 3 winner this weekend. So he had a pretty big graded stakes double.
Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah.
The next race we're going to look at for 2-year-old colts and geldings, run at Santa Anita Park, is the American Pharaoh. Once again, we have another tie to Into Mischief on this horse, the winning horse, but it's not by Authentic, it's by Maximus Mischief. We like Maximus Mischief. One of our mares has had a really nice looking Maximus Mischief colt that hasn't made its first start yet. But let's take a look at this race and then we'll talk about how, you know, what we think of this horse.
And they're off in the American Pharaoh, presented by DK Horse, and Christopherson goes straight to the front. Desert Gate has speed, though, and those two hook up right away with Intrepido in between those two. Civil Liberty broke very well, but settles down in fourth on the outside of Plutarch, and Balboa's at the back of the field. So Desert Gate hugs the rail and goes on to lead by a length and a half. Christopherson is in second, followed by Intrepido along the inside, and Civil Liberty is fourth, 3 lengths off the lead. Plutarch in a tad tight down at the rail, backs off now, fifth and 4 lengths off them, and 4 clear of Balboa. They swing on to the backstretch. Desert Gate and Christopherson, the two favorites, heads apart as they head toward the half-mile pole in the American Pharaoh Stakes presented by DK Horse. In behind them, Intrepido is sharing third with Civil Liberty. Plutarch gets some breathing room and takes advantage of it. Plutarch all the way up to take third. It's a pretty big gap to Balboa, who has trailed throughout. Desert Gate comes to the 3/8 pole, leading by a half length over Christopherson in second. Intrepido, Plutarch along the inside, Civil Liberty, and Balboa's gotten closer now. 5 lengths covers the field as Christopherson puts his head in front with a quarter of a mile to go. Desert Gate comes right back for more. Desert Gate, Christopherson. Desert Gate has the lead at the top of the stretch. Is asked to finish the job by Juan Hernandez now, and opens up 2 with 1 furlong to go. Here's Plutarch along the inside, trying to challenge him in second. Intrepido running a good race, 16th pole. It's Desert Gate. Plutarch on the inside, hugs the rail and just keeps coming at him. Plutarch on the outside. Intrepido erupts, and Intrepido and Hector Berrios took off the final 16th to win the American Pharaoh, presented by DK Horse.
Was Michael McCarthy the trainer on that horse?
I don't
Because I have an
know.
observation.
Well, go ahead with your observation.
That is a very journalism type run. That late kick, turn of foot, that is a very journalism type run.
It is definitely not a small horse.
No.
That
But
is
Maximus,
very
Mischief
Maximus
himself.
Mischief, height,
Mhm.
some color.
He's 17 hands. I mean, this horse obviously probably isn't that at this point, but those are such long-strided horses.
Right.
And usually when they're 2 years old and they're that long-strided, they're not able to accelerate that fast.
He stalked the pace. He fell back a little bit, off the pace. The pace was strong, but the pace really didn't fall apart. He just, as the announcer said, erupted.
Yeah.
And, I think he's a strong horse as long as he stays sound. That's a horse that you're going to look at. Maybe not in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, but watch out for that horse in the Triple Crown.
But even in the Juvenile, I mean, I think he's got, if the race sets up right and stuff falls apart, I mean, he's right there.
Yeah.
Right.
And with that turn of foot, it just, I mean, I don't know who is on him in this race. I'm assuming maybe Pratt. I don't know. But with the right jockey, especially if they're aggressive and they're able to time that right, I think he really could be a problem come the Juvenile.
Yeah.
Right. And it's also going to depend on if the track is speed favoring that day.
Mm-hmm.
That's
for sure.
That is, it's not going to be a 6-horse field in the Juvenile.
Mm-mm.
So he, sitting tactically in that second flight, if that horse keeps that same running style instead of being, turning into a deep closer, that tactical trip, sitting on the outside where he can't get boxed in, I think the horse that definitely has a shot Triple Crown season wise.
His name is Intrepid.
I just don't know that. I just don't know that at this point in the game that he can beat Ned Tuffy.
You just never know. I mean, that's the beautiful thing about this is, we've had several Breeders' Cup Juvenile races that we thought were pretty much written in stone, and then by the time we actually got there, the whole thing changes up come race day.
So earlier in this conversation, we talked about horses being, horse racing, you don't have to be the billionaire. When this horse was created, Maximus Mischief stud fee, I believe, was $7,500.
Yeah.
Yep.
It, $7,500 is not a small amount of money, but compared to these other horses' stud fees, like the Authentic, when that horse was created, that was a $50,000 stud fee.
Yep.
Into Mischief himself is $250,000. So you've got a horse that was created on a $7,500 stud fee, winning one of the biggest 2-year-old races at Santa Anita.
And I think that's the big thing about Maximus Mischief that not enough people talk about is typically in a stallion's career, the most expensive they'll ever be is that first year at stud. And that's not the case with him. I believe he started, it was either at 15 or 12.5. He was not a high dollar stud fee whatsoever. And then he dropped down to 7,500, had such a killer first year, and then he bumped up to, I believe he's at what, 25,000 now?
25,000 right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which is impressive for any stallion, especially when they start on that lower level of stud fees.
Right. So I think he is definitely one to keep an eye on heavily. We'll see. And when it comes down to it, it would be absolutely phenomenal if this horse would go on to the Triple Crown Series and win one of the races, knowing that it didn't take massive amounts of money to create this horse.
Well, that would mean that would be the second more affordable Into Mischief son to have a Kentucky Derby winner if he were to win the Derby, because we just recently had Golden Sense represented with Mystic Dan.
I think Golden Sense at the time, I think his stud fee was 10,000 maybe.
Yep. Yeah, it's been 10,000 for the last 5 years.
All right, the next race we're going to look at is the Champagne Stakes, ran at Belmont at the Big A. This is our one race that we're going to cover that has absolutely nothing to do with Into Mischief. The winner's sire is Liam's Map, which ties back to Liam's Map as a son of Unbridled Song. So let's take a look at this race and we'll just discuss it afterwards.
And they're off. It's Our Time breaks sharply, and so does Curtain Call towards the inside. It'll be Curtain Call at the rail. It's Our Time, and now pressing on Napoleon Solo. Napoleon Solo will take command, crosses over here in front of the field, and Napoleon Solo will bring him out of the chute and hook up with the backstretch for Rosario. Out wider, Stick Up without a gun, and now here's It's Our Time, a stalking presence from second. They're well off the rail, the top trio. Just towards their inside is Universe. Is in that fourth spot with At the Rail, Curtain Call. Stradale is in between horses now. It's going to be in the fifth position, now sixth. Then comes Talkin' towards the back end of the field. You've got AI and the trailer, Just ASAP. They approach a half mile left to go, 22.53 for the opening quarter mile. Napoleon Solo is the leader. It's Our Time, a stalking position here this afternoon. Napoleon Solo is traveling well. Napoleon Solo has now put 2 lengths on It's Our Time, who looks to be all in here through a 44.24 half-mile time. Napoleon Solo is in hand and just cruising right along. The big favorite, It's Our Time, is all in, and can It's Our Time run down this lone leader, Napoleon Solo? Napoleon Solo is now 5 lengths in front, and Napoleon Solo is pouring it on. A furlong left to go. It's Our Time continues to battle. Talkin' is in third, but still Napoleon Solo is just running away with it. Napoleon Solo dominates here in the Champagne, wins it. Talkin' up for second in a photo with Universe, and It's Our Time finished fourth.
The Champagne is one of those races that has been extremely influential on the Triple Crown Trail. And I have a feeling we just watched something that we're going to want to remember here in like a year or two.
Probably on Preakness Day.
Yeah.
that horse, to me, it was obviously catch me if you can, and nobody could. It was running a mile. Liam's maps traditionally don't like the 1.25 miles, but the Preakness distance of 1 3/16. If he runs I haven't looked at the bottom side of the pedigree, and once we get into the Triple Crown season, we'll start looking into the bottom sides of the pedigrees to see if we think they can make the 1.25 miles.
So I think it's going to. He's out of a Scat Daddy mare.
Oh, which, yeah.
Yeah. And that's very much kind of the vibe that I was getting. I mean, I don't want to throw Justify out there and say he's the next Justify, but you can tell physically, I mean, he's a very powerful mix of Unbridled Song and Scat Daddy. So I don't
Well,
know. I think this is
the,
gonna be this
the
is gonna be your next
fractions were
kid.
the fractions were extremely fast.
They just gotta keep him sound. That's the thing with
Yep.
him going so fast. Those type of horses will, be a little bit more fragile. So
Right.
I think they may have to baby him a bit more. But yeah.
But if you watch the jockey coming down the stretch, he wasn't really urging him. That horse, he's just fast, and he can at least carry
And
the mile.
let's remember the not this time that was in there. It's our time. That was a 17 3/4 length Saratoga maiden.
Right.
So this is a very quality field that horse won against. I think a lot of people thought It's Our Time was just going to run away with it, just like
Right.
he did in his maiden race.
So let's say 3-year-old season. I think this horse, if he stays sound, will get the points. Because the races start out shorter. Yep. Whether he can get the 1.25 miles or not, that's a big question. But next fall at Keeneland, my prediction is you'll see this horse in the dirt mile.
I just don't know. I like the breeding on him. He kind of gives me a little bit of a deterministic vibe. So right. Either way, I mean, I think he's going to be.
I think he's a great horse. I mean,
yeah.
And to be honest, they're for that Unbridled Song line to survive. There's Liam's map is going to have to produce stallion quality progeny. Archangelo or Seize the Gray is going to have to produce stallion quality offspring. Those two we don't know yet because they don't have,
or Midshipman.
Yeah, Midshipman's had a lot of time to do it, but as long as he's still breeding, if he gets the right mare, you never know.
Yeah, for sure.
But Midshipman gets you a quality racehorse. May not get you the superstar, but he's still going to get you. You have the chance of getting the big horse with him as well.
Yeah.
So no, the horse is definitely brilliant.
And I will bring to note that this is the second 2-year-old that we've discussed that is has Unbridled Song in them. With Ned Toffee or Ted Noffey. All right, he is out of an Old Fashioned mare, which Old Fashioned is by Unbridled Song. So then with this horse,
let's bring up, since you said Old Fashioned.
Okay.
The very first Bluegrass Stakes that you saw as a kid,
I know
Old Fashioned won that race.
Nope, was not Old Fashioned. It was General Quarters.
Oh, it was General Quarters,
also an
which is also an Unbridled Song. Yeah.
Yeah, it was gray. So I mean, we were like halfway there.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, so it's interesting that we've got a bottom side Unbridled Song influence and then a top side Unbridled Song influence with the 2-year-olds, which is always a little nerve-wracking. They aren't known to be the most durable, but we'll see how it goes.
We talk. You talk about the heavy favorite in this race, a son of Not This Time. he had that big win. What did you say? It was a 17
I
length
believe it's a
maiden win.
17 and 3/4. Yeah.
You know, this could have been a bounce.
It could have been.
And on top of that, he was running stride for stride at those fast fractions.
And let's remember, I mean, Saratoga itself is a very different track compared to other places.
Aqueduct.
But I'm saying that this horse had
Oh,
that
yeah.
17 and 3/4 victory at Saratoga. So some horses, if they like the Saratoga track, I mean, they're Saratoga specialists for a reason.
Right. So
Cool.
So I think definitely a quality horse that we're going to see later in its career if he can stay sound.
Agreed. He's very fast.
Okay. All right, and the last race we're going to cover is the Alcabites, which is held at Keeneland. It's a grade 1 for the fillies. There was definitely a heavy favorite in this race. Once again, we're tying back to being a daughter of Into Mischief. So let's take a look at this, and we can discuss what we see, which this is a very controversial race that happened this past weekend.
Let's see what her female family is.
And they're off in the Darley Alcibiades. There's Percy's Bar out for the lead from the inside. Percy's Bar right to the front as they head for the first turn. Tommy Joe moves up into the second position as they angle into the turn. Oat Diva is third up on the far outside. The Grumpy Rabbit will go fourth. Go-To Girl is fifth, and a break of 5 more lengths back to Onesie Weather, who is the trailer. Percy's Bar, the leader. Percy's Bar leads it by 3/4 of a length around the first turn. Tommy Joe between horses is second by 3/4 of a length. Oat Diva was wide around the turn, but is up close in third. Then a break of 3 more lengths back to the Grumpy Rabbit in fourth. 2 back of that one to Go-To Girl. Then a margin of 8 more back to Onesie Weather, who's last. It was 23.13 seconds the time for the opening quarter. Percy's Bar, the leader. Midpoint of the backstretch. Percy's Bar leads it by 3/4 of a length. Tommy Joe second to the outside. Then a gap of 2 lengths. Oat Diva third by a neck. The Grumpy Rabbit starts moving up closer fourth. Now to challenge for third off the end of the backstretch. Go-To Girl, and then a margin of nearly 10 more back to Onesie Weather. It was 46.9 seconds, the time for the opening half mile. Tommy Joe trying to draw alongside of Percy's Bar now as they round the far turn. Percy's Bar will lead it by 3/4 of a length. Tommy Joe second up on the outside. Then a gap of 3.5 more back to the Grumpy Rabbit in third. Quarter mile to go. Percy's Bar still has the lead by just a length to the top of the stretch. Tommy Joe takes aim again from the outside. They turn for home. Percy's Bar with the lead. Tommy Joe is still second, but still trying and coming on. Percy's Bar, Tommy Joe, as they move through the final furlong. They nearly bump. They do. Now Percy's Bar has the lead. She's got it by 2. She's got it by 2.5. Percy's Bar to win it for the Juan Machado in the Darley Alcibiades.
So I'll start off. I was a huge Tommy Joe fan coming into the race.
Yeah.
Not so much anymore.
I don't know for me if it's bad enough performance for me not to be a fan of her, but I do think it definitely exposed some weaknesses, obviously. So I think they both kind of went into each other. I mean, I do think the one horse was more at fault than Tommy Joe, but I mean, if you watch it, they just kind of collided.
I mean, I do think the other horse deserves the DQ.
Yeah.
But watching the race, if the bump had not happened, I still don't think Tommy Joe wins.
See, I think she would have, because the one thing that she stopped doing after that bump is she didn't change her leads. She remained on the same lead the rest of the race. And to me, it looked like when she got bumped, I wouldn't be surprised if she comes out of the race jammed up. So I think that would be my concern, especially since she had no problem swapping leads heading into the race up until that point.
See, I think, and we don't know because the bump happened, but the way I look at it, the way she performed throughout the entire race, I think they would have finished in exactly the same position that they were in, fighting it out at the bump.
Yeah.
I think the bump caused the other horse to win by a lot more and get the DQ, but I don't. Personal opinion is I don't think she had enough to overtake that horse.
I don't know if she were to have to go against the Iron Orchid. Was that her name? The authentic filly? I think if you compare those two races, and they are tougher to compare because I believe one is shorter than the other, I was more impressed with Iron Orchid than I was with Tommy Joe.
Tommy Joe's was ran at a mile. I think the other is also ran at a mile.
Yeah.
I'd have to go back and look. But the fractions at Keeneland were slower.
Yeah.
On this race. I mean, not significantly slower, but they were slower.
Yeah.
And I just don't know that she's the horse I thought she was. Because the horse that she showed in her previous races would not have been there to get bumped. She would have already been in the lead. So
I don't know. I think you're right. I don't 100% know if, and this is crazy to say, so I will eat my words when she proves me wrong. But she won this by DQ. I don't know if at this point in time she was grade 1 winner quality. This specific race, I didn't really get that vibe.
And it could have been a bounce from the last race. It could have been that she didn't like Keeneland. Because
that is a very real problem.
Because I believe her last race was at Saratoga when she was just jaw dropping. Yeah. So, we will see. I mean, the next race will end up being the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. She will probably still take big money in that race, but I don't think I would be. After this race, she's not going to be my pick to win. Unlike,
I think she deserves to be in the conversation. I just don't. I think the 2-year-old filly division in general is extremely wide open right now.
Right.
Cool.
Well, I think that covers our racing recap for the week. We'll pick a few more races for next week. Maybe not do 5 next week, but we'll do a few. There's not going to be a whole lot of racing before the Breeders' Cup, so maybe in our racing recap we'll cover some of the horses to look at in the Breeders' Cup. Individual races in the Breeders' Cup leading up to the first week in November when the Breeders' Cup is held at Del Mar.
And let us know which of the horses that we covered you are most excited about, because I feel like everyone's going to have differing responses because, there's a lot of different storylines going on with what happened this weekend.
And, since this is one of, our beginning episodes, we are looking for questions in the comment section. We want you to like and subscribe and then put questions down in the comment section, and we'll start a question and answer section of this podcast every week. So if you have a question about breeding or racing or, why we said what we said, we'd love to be able to answer those type of questions.
For sure. Cool. Now we're getting to one of my favorite segments.
Yeah, this is going to be. This
one's going to be fun.
This is going to be the absolute favorite for me.
If you guys have been following us for any amount of time, you know that one thing we love to do is to have debates within our family, especially when it comes to thoroughbred bloodlines and important stallions in thoroughbred history. So, one thing that my husband absolutely adores is college basketball, and we all know that we love March Madness in college basketball. So, Dad, Justin, and I put together a bracket challenge of famous thoroughbred stallions in history.
We ended up taking stallions from 1900 to today, picked 64 of them, pitted them against each other, And on the air, none of us have discussed who we think will win in these brackets. And weekly, this week we're going to go through Division 1 and Division 2, and those whoever wins will move down the bracket. Next week we'll go over Division 3 and 4, and week after week we're going to whittle it down where we get to 4 remaining, and then we'll end up with a final winner of who we think, or we have argued about, is the best stallion since 1900.
And if we get into a tie, we have Justin here, who is going to be the tie-breaking vote.
And I am going to be objective because here's the thing. If it's more modern, or if I've heard from horses that are more modern, I'm going to know more. There are going to be some that I'm going blind because all my education of the thoroughbred industry has came from the both of them. So my perspective is going to be interesting, but I'm interested to see. I think you all are going to agree more often than what you think.
We have signed a truce before heading into this situation, so he is allowed to choose against me, and most likely he probably will.
And I'm a little concerned that he has to live with you, so he's going to side with you. So,
it is what
for
it
the
is.
viewers, there are going to be some that are going to be real quick that we both agree on. But if you know us, most of you don't. When we disagree pretty argumentatively. So
yeah, they do.
This we really feel from an entertainment standpoint, this could be the most entertaining and comical section of our podcast for the next several weeks.
Yeah.
So
I think we're gonna have some real fun moments going on.
Right. So let's get started on our first ever Stallion Showdown, and we'll see who comes out to move on to the next bracket. All right, here we go. All right, so without further ado, here's the first division. In the first division, first comparison is going to be Bully and American Pharaoh.
As much as I hate doing this, American Pharaoh changed the game as a racehorse, but Bully, in my opinion, will have a far greater impact on the breed through his sons and daughters, and he was a nice racehorse himself. So, as much as I hate to say it, I think I'm going Bully with this one.
I really thought this was going to be a very large argument between the two of us.
No.
Now, interestingly enough, we've technically seen both of these horses.
Yep.
We have visited Bully's grave, and we have seen American Pharaoh in person.
Go ahead.
For the same reason, I think Bully almost single-handedly built Calumet Farm and has impacted the breed generation after generation after generation. And I think 100%, I think Bully moves on to the next round on this one.
For sure.
For more recent fans and participants in the sport, American Pharaoh is definitely going to be, horses they love. But when we come from general impact on the breed, on the sport, Bully almost single-handedly built one of the most iconic farms in all of Lexington with Calumet Farm.
And I think the big thing to keep in mind is American Pharaoh, while he was incredible on the track, he hasn't had any success in putting a son at stud. I don't think he has, as far as I'm aware, anyone at the more upper levels of being a stallion. So
he has, I think Bricks and Mortars was his son, and he stands in Japan. So
yeah. So
now, one thing I do have to mention, this is not just a North American bracket. We have stallions from Europe and stallions from Japan as well in this. So we're not forgetting the great stallions that have stood outside of the United States as well.
Justin, who are
So
you
let's go to the
taking?
next.
Now,
Justin, who are you taking?
Bully is obviously moving on because it's a 2-1 vote. I will speak to what Ryan's saying, though. So, as far as somebody who was casual into racing, Pharaoh is the first name that I remember. If you said horse racing before I got involved with you all. So, like, I will say, as far as crossover appeal, there's always going to be a little bit of nostalgia for me because, at least at that point, that is the horse that I heard the most more in my time period, and then once I got in.
Yeah. Cool.
But either way,
Well, and
Bully,
that's going to be for just about anybody who's not really into pedigrees and the history of the sport, and they're just normal fans of the sport. Probably have never heard Bully's name. So, but from a standpoint, I got to say Bully has the most impact at this point on the sport. All right, let's go to the
They're
next
built
one.
very similarly.
Once again, this goes very strategically. A horse that was brought in back at the same time, around the same time as what Bully was standing, Sir Galahad stood, and then there's Triple Crown winner and arguably one of the best racehorses, stallion, as a stallion, best Triple Crown winning stallion ever in Seattle.
Yeah.
You want me to go first on this one?
No.
Yeah,
you can go first.
I can go first. To me, actually, and this is when I'll actually have a little bit of knowledge, and correct me if I'm wrong, is Seattle Slew not the only undefeated Triple Crown winner?
He was undefeated at the time of him winning his Triple Crown.
So, like, I don't know.
We have to take Justify out of that because some fans are going to say Justify was undefeated, but he has since been taken down from the win at Santa Anita. So he is 5 wins from 6 starts.
Yeah,
so Justify is no longer an undefeated Triple Crown winner.
I think that's a statistic that you can't really underrate, and that's value that you bring, even if you're talking about breeding and such. Like, I think that's a value that you can bring. There's no other horse that can say that.
Seattle Slew is the only Triple Crown winner who has defeated another Triple Crown winner.
Oh wow! See, I didn't even know that.
Yep.
He defeated Affirmed.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm gonna go. I almost feel like sacrilegious doing this. I think I'm going to go with Slew because Slew had, not only did he have an incredible racing career, and he is, the only, at the time, undefeated Triple Crown winner, and then he beat another Triple Crown winner, but he also produced AP who AP is still active through Pulpit, Tapit. So, I mean, you've got so many different lines of AP still in existence, and AP is one of the best broodmare sires in the world.
Yeah,
so,
Bernardini.
Bernardini. You definitely did forget about him. You just can't beat AP and you can't beat Slew.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna. Sir Galahad was definitely breed shaping.
Yeah.
But I believe in Slew's first crop, he had a Kentucky Derby winner in Swale.
Yep.
Plus, that same year, he produced Slew of Gold, or Slew of Gold, who was a deep competitor in the Breeders' Cup. So, then obviously breed shaping through Bernardini, through AP Indy, through Tapit. You probably knew before this ever popped up who I was going to pick.
Of course.
Slew's going to be a hard one for me to vote against all the way through
I really have him right here.
Yeah. So Slew takes this one, with no dissenting votes.
Nope.
And once again, we've visited both of those horses' graves.
Both.
Yeah.
Both
of
of
them.
Seattle's Blues Braves.
Yeah. So
Which
let's
you
go to the
cannot
next one.
see.
This one we've
Oh,
got Sunday Silence versus Nyquist.
this is so
Sunday
easy for me.
Silence, a son of Halo, Derby winner, Preakness winner, Breeders' Cup Classic winner. You want, since I'm talking, I'm just going to go ahead and start.
Yeah.
Maybe one of the best stallions of all time. North America didn't want him. Japan got him, and he was so many times the leading stallion in Japan, and his sons have been leading stallions in Japan. We really don't see in North America his influence so much. I think Win may be the only North American horse that is
I do think
standing
he
right
is
now.
going to earn his way into Kentucky.
Right. And I actually was having a conversation with that with somebody today about him earning his way into Kentucky. But
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of time.
Nyquist, I would say maybe the only successful son at this point of Uncle Mo to stand stallion.
Okay. I mean, I wouldn't say he's the only successful Uncle Mo son at stud.
As
Motown
in,
himself. Motown
well,
himself is successful. I think.
I'm talking at the highest levels.
Yeah, they're just not. A lot of them aren't old enough yet to have
Right.
many
So
sons.
my vote 100% Sunday Silence. Plus, I love his sire.
I think Sunday Silence is mine, but I do think Nyquist is going to be one to watch as the follow-on for Uncle Mo. I do think
Oh,
he's going to be
absolutely,
the torch. Yeah, I think he's the torch.
absolutely agree.
But Sunday Silence, that's why I'm so excited that Win is doing so well because, Yoshida never really took off here. And,
No,
unfortunately, like, his horses just couldn't really run. That's to no fault of the Sunday Silence line. But Win, I mean, he's really lighting it up in Florida.
but
So I can't wait
let's
to
see
see what
what
he does.
Yoshida ends up doing in Japan.
Yeah.
So,
Oh my gosh. All right, that was
bless you.
Yoshida out of there. All
All right,
right.
Justin.
Sunday Silence, just like the both of you. I think what's interesting is a lot of times, especially for me coming in, I really only looked at races over here, and that's the only impact. But there's races all over the world, and to see him, like you say, transplant over to Japan and just dominate over there, like you can't undervalue just because it's not right here doesn't mean it's not value. So I think I agree with you both.
Sunday Silence, in my opinion, is the only reason why there is an anime about famous figures in horse racing as cute little girls. I can't remember. It's like you saw Mame or something like that.
Next group, Giants Causeway in Damascus.
I think we're gonna agree on this one.
I don't know that we are.
Oh.
For this one, he was an incredible racehorse. He was an incredible broodmare sire. He had some success as a sire of sires. I'm going with Damascus.
Okay, well, I'm actually, so we talked about disagree, and I am actually going to go with Giants Causeway.
He's just partial because that's Rose's grandpa.
So, I am going to go with Giants Causeway.
Interesting. Okay.
As hard as it is for me to vote against Damascus, is one of my favorite horses. Giants Causeway. He's one of two horses that has carried on the Stormcat line through modern breeding. You've got Not This Time, which is a son of Giants Causeway. And then you have Into Mischief, who is through Harlan's Holiday, Harlan back to Stormcat.
You also
Um,
are starting to get Contenderos now that Bouchero is
yeah,
having some real success at stud.
yeah. So the thing that I liked about Giants Causeway is he was a different style of Stormcat, and that came
Yeah.
through the Rahi mare, Mariah
Mm-hmm.
Storm. I think long term, and this is a prediction because you know Damascus. I mean, his blood's still being carried through um, Justify, but I think Giants Causeway's blood is going to last longer.
Yeah.
In more predominant. Um, yeah,
I
and
mean,
if
you have to remember though that Damascus, I mean, he was running in the 60s, 70s.
yeah, mid-60s.
So, I mean, his blood, I mean, that's almost 70 years.
I yeah, I mean, he was running with Dr. Fager
Yeah, and
and
I'm saying like
Trespassers.
his impact on the breed has lasted that long. I mean, I think Giants Causeway is gonna have to be around for a heck of a lot longer to even last, you know.
I think we lost the last Damascus line sire with Skipaway.
Correct. I think so.
So I do think that Giants Causeway's sire line, because of Not This Time, and I, we don't know what Not This Time Sons are going to do at this point, but it's looking pretty good for them.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to go with Giants Causeway on this one, unless you can sway me to go with
I'm
Damascus.
just saying, Damascus has had that long of an impact that he was running in the 60s.
That's in the past. Let's go Giants Causeway.
I'm just saying. No, like it's fine. It's fine. You can choose Giants Causeway and I can lose this round. It's fine. But I'm just saying. Just saying.
Once again, two horses that we visited both their graves.
Yep.
As you were,
And
we
I do
actually
want to bring
saw.
up both of these horses are extremely versatile sires. I mean, they could run at almost any distance and not win on any surface.
It's one of those, like I said, it's really hard for me to vote against Damascus. If he had not come up against Giants Causeway right off the bat, there's many horses that he would have beat. But
yeah.
It's hard for
I'm
me to
just
go
going to blame
against.
it on you liking redheads.
Huh?
I'm just going to blame it on you liking
Well,
redheads.
yeah. Oh,
Facts.
that just let me know. That let me know where Cinch gets her color.
Yeah, I mean he's not. He was a very dark chestnut. He wasn't like completely liver, but
Yep.
I think Cowboy Cal himself was liver. We'll have to triple check that.
Yep. All right, let's go on to the next one.
This is easy.
Roundtable versus Manowar.
For me too.
Yeah, this is easy.
This one is very, very, very difficult for me.
Well, let me tell you why it's easy for me, and this is gonna have no logic into this too. But then I can let them spit the facts. Is Manowar is the first horse that I ever learned of. So I know for a lot of people, Secretariat is the first horse. The very first horse is Manowar, and I have a close connection because I have lived off of Manowar for several years of my life. So that was one of the first
And people
roads.
that don't know, that's a road in Lexington as well that's named after
North
Manowar.
Boulevard.
And if you've been in Lexington or even traveled through Lexington, you're very familiar with that and probably New Circle and Nicholasville Road. But Manowar is a connection that, like, even as a kid, I knew that was a horse. Now, beyond anything else, and I really didn't learn as the rest of them until later on. But I think for me, it's Manowar.
I mean, to me, the biggest thing with Manowar is the fact that his sire line technically hasn't died out yet, and when it moved out of Kentucky was when Tisnow was pinching. So I mean that's a full century and a quarter almost. of him having a direct sire line, and then his mares were absolutely insane. He was incredible on the track. I mean, I there are very few horses that could win over Manowar, in my opinion.
Manowar's, only lost one race. He's responsible for the term upset.
Yep.
Because the one race that he lost, the horse's name was Upset.
Oh wow, that's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Roundtable and Bold Ruler being born on the same night at the same farm. That's a story that's just unbelievable because of how many times Bold Ruler was the leading stallion, how many times Roundtable was the leading stallion. I'm gonna have to go with Manowar because honestly,
I
I
was
think
about to say, I was gonna fight you if you went for anything else. I mean, the horse has a freaking street named after him.
Well,
not even a street,
it's one of those.
Majors.
Manowar, to me, for greatest racehorses of all time, is number one greatest racehorse of all time. I know.
Oh, for sure.
A lot of people want to say Secretariat and all that kind of stuff, but Manowar was. I mean,
wasn't
when Manowar ran, they didn't even have starting gates.
The one race he lost, he started behind everyone.
And he carried more weight.
Yeah,
massive amounts more weight than everybody else. But
that's why,
that's pre-starting gate days.
Yeah,
where they just lined up in a line and somebody dropped their arms type or rung a bell. So
it's like drag racing, like 1800s drag racing.
Right. So we've got Manowar. We haven't had a whole lot of drama yet, which is really surprising.
No,
let's move on to the next one.
Okay.
I think the drama may not be in round one.
I don't think it's in round one. I definitely think it's round one.
Once we get down to making it down to the last four, I don't want to say it the other way so we don't get in trouble, but the last four, I think that's where a lot of drama is going to happen. But let's look at the next one. Alidar versus Gunrunner.
We're going to disagree here.
Probably.
Yeah.
So Justin, before you vote, let us argue this out.
Okay, you're fine.
So he's honestly, we know the complete Alidar career. We don't know the complete Gunrunner career. And as of right now, I think Gunrunner was, I wouldn't say he was as great as Alidar on the track, but he was incredible on the track. I mean, God, he was the top earning racehorse for however many years. He was durable, he was sound, he could run in basically anything. And we're seeing that same versatility in his babies with both colts and fillies. I do think it helps that he has, the same benefit that Alidar has. He's owned by Winchell Thoroughbreds, and they have some of the best broodmares in the world. So he's getting an incredible base, and obviously his career is being managed much better. So I think I'm going to go with Gunrunner on this. I feel like I'm going to get ostracized from the family over that one.
So at this point, we don't know
ugly horses, though. They are ugly horses, though. I will say that.
So at this point, we don't know if Gunrunner is going to be able to have how successful his sons are going to be. So Alidar wasn't really a sire of sires, even though, Alidar did produce Ali Sheba.
Mm-hmm.
Ali Sheba was not necessarily a great sire. I think some of his broodmares that, his fillies that he produced have been better, in their broodmare career than their racing career. From a from an impact of the breed, because we don't know what Gunrunner's going to do. Alidar's line
You're gonna have to break
is
this
still
time.
very active through his daughters. Turkomon was an Alidar too, wasn't he?
I think so. I just told Justin he's gonna have to break this tie.
I want to hear both arguments.
Alidar's the only horse to have finished second in every Triple Crown race.
Mm-hmm.
That's a
Gunrunner made $20 million. And won the Dubai World Cup.
Well, there wasn't a Dubai World Cup when Alidar ran.
Just saying. And the Breeders' Cup.
Alidar pretty much signaled the end of Calumet.
Yeah.
Not through his own, but through his, things that happened to him. I'm gonna go with Alidar. So prove me wrong, Nick.
Okay, well, let's just walk through it. So Gunrunner himself raced from, I believe it was 2 to 5. He earned $20 million on the racetrack. He won the Dubai World Cup. He could win at most distances. He had graded stakes victories at a mile and longer. I mean, he won the Breeders' Cup, so that's a mile and a quarter. He raced on multiple continents. He obviously won in Dubai. He won in the U.S. Just hit after hit after hit with babies. I mean, he's got Brant, that 3 million dollar 2-year-old, that is just laying it up right now. That's a Gunrunner. God, you've got Gunite, you've got Cyberknife, you've got who's the big red one? Taba. Yeah, Taba is at Spencer. Like, he's got a bunch of babies standing at stud right now. This is the first year that we're going to see. Actually, I think next year is the first year that no, it's this year. The Cyberknives are 2, I think, this year. I believe Cyberknife was his first kiddo at stud. So, no, they're yearlings. So next year we're gonna see. Yeah, next year we're gonna see the first.
They all came in Gunite.
Cap.
Gun Pilot. No, Gun Pilot came in last
year. Gun
year.
Pilot just retired, yeah.
Yeah.
He's at Claiborne. But I don't know. I'm really excited. I think Gunrunner, he's already shown proven ability for both Colts and Phillies. So I just don't know how you choose anything but him, to be honest.
I'm up for hearing a counter argument.
I mean, from stud fee alone, Alidar was 500,000 back then.
Well, they had to, because he oversold all of his breeding shares, and that's the only way they could make money.
So, a stallion that was horribly mismanaged.
Yeah.
I guess you can't talk about woulda, shoulda, coulda. I mean, the horse stands at Claiborne. He ends up being a whole lot more successful than, or even in that day, Spendthrift.
Yeah.
Not modern day Spendthrift, but that day Spendthrift, he probably would have been more successful.
I'm not convinced.
I'm still staying with Alidar.
All right, so I'm going to ask one more objective question. At the best Gunrunner and the best Alidar, if you compare their resume, who matches up better?
Well, the best Alidar was the richest horse in existence at the time. And that was Ali Sheba, which was called America's horse. And I'd throw that out there.
No.
And you really think I'm going to vote against Alidar when he's Ali Sheba's dad?
No, but I just want to make it clear that, it is
You
more
know,
a nostalgia pull. With
has wait, has Gunrunner produced a Derby winner?
Not yet, no.
Has Gunrunner produced a Preakness winner?
Yes. Early voting.
Has he produced a Breeders' Cup Classic winner?
Yes. Sierra Leone.
Forgot about him.
Yeah.
So,
there it goes.
Unfortunately, I think in closing argument,
Yeah,
I'm going to have to
that
go
hurt.
with Gunrunner.
You set me up for that
But
one.
hadn't produced a Kentucky Derby winner.
That's
no,
true.
but he's produced everything else.
That's true. Great counter. Yeah, I'm going to go with Gunrunner on this.
Yeah.
Well, you guys are stupid. So.
I'll let me know when Sierra Leone wins the Breeders' Cup Classic 2 times in a row. We'll see if you still think that.
Yeah.
Ooh. Hot take.
That we'll get into that another day. I don't think that's happening again.
Okay.
All right. We can move on to the next one.
Huh.
I won't talk to you for a few days because you didn't pick Alidar. All right. See the Stars, which stands in Europe, versus Quality Road.
Oh, this is one that they're just like painfully even to me. But I think I'm going to go with See the Stars. I think he has a greater impact on what's going on in Europe right now.
Yeah.
So that's just more of like a vibe.
Yeah, I'm going with See the Stars.
Okay.
I'll be honest.
They look the exact
This
same.
one I don't know a whole lot about.
Yeah, he doesn't even know who See the Stars is.
But See the Stars is a much better name than Quality Road, so I'm going with See the Stars.
Quality Road, though, if it's just based on like forelock quality, Quality Road any day of the week.
I would like to drive on a great road, not just a quality road.
All right. Next.
You know it's in his contract that like they have to not touch his forelock?
Yeah. Yeah.
Crazy. Oh, this is easy.
Frankel Bernardini.
World's best racehorse, possibly one of the world's best stallions. I'm going with Frankel.
Yeah, he has been. I think he was leading sire his first crop, and has been consistently since.
Yeah.
Wish we could get some of those in the United States, to be honest.
So he
I don't know how they
obviously didn't. Go ahead.
I don't know how his foals would translate to the dirt here, but I would imagine they would absolutely just dominate the turf round around here.
I think he's probably the closest we have. And he's not in the U.S., so it's hard to say this, but he's the closest we have to modern day Manowar. I mean, just incredible on the track, incredible.
I was going to say a different horse.
Northern Dancer, probably.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Northern Dancer was where I was going to go with that.
Yeah, I can see that.
I don't want to get ahead of myself on Northern Dancer because I know he's on this list.
Yeah.
But as you know, Bernardini has been very impactful through his daughters.
Yeah.
Not so much through his sons. We don't really know yet with Frankel, but with the quality of the sons and daughters that he's producing, somebody's going to carry that line along.
For sure.
I mean, even his full brother was somewhat successful here.
Yep.
Yep, I agree with you both.
All right, Division 2. This might be where it gets dicey.
Yeah. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe.
All right. First up, Nasrullah and Secretariat.
This is such an easy one for me. And sorry, Secretariat.
It's easy for me. We're going to get hated for what our answer is, but yes.
Sorry, Secretariat lovers. He was an incredible racehorse, don't get me wrong. But in terms of like overall impact, Nasrullah wins this easily. I mean, Nasrullah makes this like if those two horses were just running based on impact, it would be like the Belmont Stakes of 1973. Only Nazarilla would be Secretariat, and Secretariat would be the rest of the field. That's probably
Nazrula,
aggressive.
Nazrula not only was impactful while he was alive, but
Yeah.
to this day, a large portion of your stallions go back to him.
Absolutely. And of course,
I mean,
you're going to
from
have
a
that with Secretariat because he's, the broodmare sire of APND and Stormcat. So he's
but I'm
always going
talking
to be present in
I'm
Mr.
talking
P
sire
whenever.
line.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying is Nazrula, he's got even more opportunities to continue to impact the breed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I would go with
Secretary, 'cause he has
Nazrula.
no.
Nazrula. I think I would go with
Yeah,
Nazrula as
so
well.
he's really going with Secretariat because he has no idea who Nazrula is.
You've seen his grave.
No, so it's gonna be a weird comparison, and I understand like the legacy myth, but in a way, I think with Secretariat is it's just one of the first names everyone brings up, and I think sometimes when you try to wrap something up in the past and nostalgia, you make it bigger or more
Yeah,
impactful than
no,
it actually is.
Oh,
not with him.
we're gonna
No,
have some pitchforks
yeah.
at our doors.
When it comes down to his legacy, it's not blown out of proportion when it comes to his racing career.
It's
I mean,
his racing career. His breeding career, on the other hand, is different.
Yeah,
I thought
which
that's what we were mainly.
Yeah.
Well, it's all around, but you know, a sire's impact on the breed, is tied to the shed as well. But I'm not going to say like a lot of people that Secretariat was a flop as a stud. I mean, still
No, for sure not.
produced. He produced a Derby winner.
Yeah.
And
no, you're good.
And I think the second fastest time in the Belmont was by his son.
Yeah.
So
no, there's definitely no like knocking the horse. I just
no. But from a overall, from the 1900s to today, I think Nazrula, everybody that comes up against him is going to be having a tough one, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, let's move on to the second one. Sadler's Wells against Twirling Candy.
I mean, I hate to say it, I'm not a huge Twirling Candy fan in general, so Sadler's Wells is the winner for me on this one.
If you want me to go next, I'm going to say shout out to Jeff Hiles. He has talked up Twirling Candy and justified his reasons behind it and gave me a rational explanation. And so to me, I'm just going to trust that judgment, and that's going to be my vote. So I'm going to go with Twirling Candy.
Sadler's Wells' impact not only in Europe but in the United States through Kitten's Joy.
Yep.
I think he hands down over Twirling Candy.
Fair.
Sorry, Jeff.
I agree.
Hey, I shouted you out.
This one we're probably going to argue about.
Come to me last.
I'm not going to do it last. But
no, I'm saying come to me last.
Yeah, Justin, you start this one.
All right, so I'm going to start with a vote, but I feel like you are going to disagree, but I don't know which way because I think I'm going to lean. To me, it's curling, and the reason being, if you tell me knowledge or knowing about any horse, so maybe this is just a personal tie for me because that is the one that blew up her TikTok, and like that's the horse that I've seen come up, and I've seen a lot of curlings in person, and I think there's a lot of legacy left behind and that's still being carried on. So I'm gonna go with curling, but if anybody disagrees with that, I'm open to a argument, counter argument, but that would be my vote. My vote would be curling.
Go.
So, Curlin, heck of a racehorse, very good stallion. Danzig, short career because he got hurt, but from a standpoint as of shaping a breed, still have an active sire line, and the age at which he, how long it's been since he's even been alive. I'm going with Danzig. I mean, Danzig's the sire of Warfront, the sire of Hardspun, who ran against Curlin. Curlin beat him, but he ran against him.
So how many Kentucky Derby winners did Danzig have?
I don't think any.
How many sons produced Kentucky Derby winners?
Okay, you have one that has produced and don't.
You have two.
Well, let's just
you have two.
wait.
You have two.
Oh, Keen Ice. Yeah, I throw that one out. Sorry.
Doesn't matter. He still did something that freaking Danzig didn't.
And I'm just going to go out there and we can start the argument. And sorry, Hillendale, but if it wasn't for Puka, Good Magic would not have Kentucky Derby winner. I mean, Puka carried the Belmont Stakes winner and the Kentucky Derby winner. You can breed a donkey to Puka and produce a racehorse. You know how I feel about that.
So, yeah, no, I get that. You just have to remember still has.
How many overseas winners does Curlin have?
I don't know. I'm not saying I don't know because I don't think he has any.
Warfront,
I just haven't looked at them.
When you go through Warfront's so impactful globally.
Hang on.
I'm giving a nod. I mean, that's part of it.
There we go. The thing is, now, I haven't looked for that stat. So
there's definitely a difference in Danzig's definitely had more opportunity because Warfront's about the same age as Curlin.
Curlin is ranked 4th on the TRC Global Sires overall rankings
right now.
Into Mischief is the only one that's above him from the U.S.
Wow.
So, if you guys can't tell, I'm going with Curlin. He's a Dubai World Cup winner. He's a Preakness winner. And he's produced winners in just about every single big race. I don't think he himself has a Derby winner, but he's had 2 sons produce Derby winners. Even if you throw it out, it still counts. They still got the check. They still got the trophy. So, and then, he's insane with both.
I'll give you the nod.
He's insane with both Colts and fillies. So,
yeah, I'll give you the nod and change to Curlin.
That's my boy.
Even though, I mean, it's really hard because
I love Danzig's
career, and
I don't love his unsoundness that he produces, but
all right. So Curlin gets all 3.
Woo!
You were able to sway me.
I should be a lawyer. Oh.
You were absolutely lucky that I did not put Smart Strike right up against Curlin.
Oh, that would have been rough. But I actually
eventually
think it still would have been
eventually it could happen.
I still think it. Oh, so I mean, I guess I'm hearing that you're taking Smart Strike over Justify.
I said eventually it could happen. I didn't say it would happen.
Okay. This one's tough because who beyond Curlin does Smart Strike have? English Channel, and that's it.
It's been long enough that most of his sons are dead too.
All my sons are dead.
Well, you do got to look at how impactful the sons that stood actually were too with Smart Strike. But
so the reason
with
why I say
Justify,
that, yeah,
with Justify, he's pretty much come straight out the gate, knocking it out of the park.
yeah, no, I'm going with Justify on this one. He's throwing dominance on every surface, every distance. He's already got an Eclipse Award winner, and it's a filly Eclipse Award winner, which is always... I'm always interested when a stallion comes out swinging with a filly rather than a colt, because I feel like that's, I don't want to say harder to do, but I think it says more of the stallion that the filly mentally can handle it.
I have a feeling
And
we're going to go 3-0 because I think we're on the Justified
I'm
side.
going with Justify.
Yep.
I've compared Justify to Seattle Slew of the Triple Crown winners. I think he's going to have a very, very successful breeding career. I think sons and daughters, because and a lot of that he's getting some of the best mares too, which is going to help him.
Scat Daddy was what was Scat Daddy? He was an Indian Charlie, wasn't he?
No, Scat Daddy's a Johannesburg. That's the Stormcat line.
Okay.
So the Mischief.
So the reason why I say that, yeah, okay. Never mind, I lost my steam with that. But the cool thing about Justify is he is from, was it Stage Magic? That family is still really, really active, I believe. Yeah. So.
So you're getting Scat Daddy over Ghost Sapper, which that's some pretty potent blood to be being passed on.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think, we probably can't afford them right now, but in a few years we'll be looking for Justify mares.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and I know Works had a few Justify fillies, and they're definitely, the market loves them. If you can afford them, the market loves them.
Yeah. So Justin, doing 3 for 3?
Yeah, 3 for 3, just like you said, Justify. I think it's pretty easy.
And here's another group of horses that we've seen both of those horses in person.
Yep, Nick. And I have seen Smart Strike's grave.
All right, our next bracket, Deputy Minister versus Tapit. So, Deputy Minister is the Awesome Again Go Sapper sire line, which will include Mystic Guide, Loggins. Hopefully they carry on the Go Sapper line. Curlin's out of a Deputy Minister mare. Let's see, who else? Well, it's Golden to Hair is actually out of a Deputy Minister line mare. Tapit, most Belmont Stakes winners. Incredible broodmare sire of Constitution. Got to throw my hat. Hint. Sire of our own Belmont Stakes winner, Tapit, who's standing in Indiana. Who is the sire of our 2-year-old racehorse. And if Nick doesn't agree with me, I may drive to Lexington tonight and actually just absolutely destroy her. But I am going with Tapit.
Oh, okay, 1,000%. I thought you were going to go with Deputy Minister, and I was going to throw Fit. No, for sure, Tapit. I mean, he's another one.
Tapit.
There are only a couple of stallions.
He's carrying on the Seattle Slew line.
Yeah. There's maybe 3.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'll say that. There's maybe 3 stallions from modern times, or at least this current generation of stallions, that I think you put them against any of the historic stallions, they deserve the right to be compared to them. And Tapit is one of those. So I think there's very few stallions that he can go against that he'd lose.
I think Tapit is going to be something. He's going to be a horse we're still going to be talking about 30 years from now.
Oh,
maybe
for sure.
40, 50 years from now.
Yeah.
You know,
Him and into Mischief.
one cross with Gunrunner that is, one cross with Gunrunner that is absolutely a home run is to breed him to a Tapit line mare. So, it's definitely.
And
He's the
Curlin.
sire of
Tapit to
Constitution.
Curlin. That's huge.
Constitution's Constitution has already produced a sire that is actually doing well on the racetrack with Tis the Law.
Yep.
So there's
Tapit
great promise. You've got Essential Quality out there. You've got Tapit out there. You've got, Charge It, who first year stallion this year, Tapit Trice. We have our opinions about him, but it's still a Tapit that could be very successful. So, and we don't know how many more years we're going to get new sons.
The fact that he's still breeding is insane.
Definitely getting up there in age.
Yeah, sure.
And the fact that he looks as good as he does at his age.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
I'm thinking this is going to be a 3 for 3.
Yeah, it's a 3 for 3, and the cool thing about Tapit for everyone is that is the first horse that I went with him and actually went and seen in person, and that's when I realized I liked great horses. But yeah, no, for sure, it's 3-0.
It was also really funny because Tapit is tiny. He looks like a Connemara pony. He looks like, those Christmas cards that like, all I want for Christmas is a pony, and it's this like little white pony. That's what Tapit looks like. So we saw Tapit first, and then Tapit came out, and it was funny for you to see the differences in the two.
Yeah, for sure.
And typically the sons of Pulpit were not big.
Mm-hmm.
There were a few that were, but Pulpit didn't really throw giants.
Sky Mesa was itty bitty.
Right.
Cool.
I think let's go ahead and go on to the next one. Prince Quillo, Uncle Mo.
This is an easier one for me, Prince Quillo. I love Uncle Mo. I really do. Like, he is one of my favorite modern stallions. And compared to most other horses, he probably would be going through for me. But Prince Quillo, I mean, he's got one of the most unique impacts on the breed in terms of physicality, with being able to pass the large heart through the broodmares.
Right. I got to go with Prince Quillo too.
Yeah.
But
man, we are not disagreeing much.
I'm not the most. Yeah, I'm not the biggest Uncle Mo fan, anyways. So
this is like an actual beef between us. Like one of these days, I will get him to like an Uncle Mo.
Oh, there is one Uncle Mo I do like, but only one at this point. Momo.
No, there's 2 because you've been trying to get one.
Well,
don't play.
Yeah. Justin, you going with Uncle Mo?
I will. It's going to be Prince Quillo that goes on. Obviously, I would say Uncle Mo. I'm more familiar with Uncle Mo, and I like some of the Uncle Mo's that I've seen. So that's what I'd go with. But obviously, knowledge here is key. So I think you all are probably right.
Prince Quillo's Prince Quillo's daughter is secretary. One of Prince Quillo's daughters is Secretary at Dam. So that's
another one is the broodmare sire is a dam of Sham.
And
so, Secretariat and Sham both.
I might be wrong, but I don't think I am. but Prince Quillo, I believe, is the sire of Roundtable.
I think so.
Yep. Next, Constitution versus King Mambo.
This is tough.
So I'm going to start this one out. And this
Okay.
might be arguing, or it
Maybe
might
not.
be educating. In the United States, the King Mambo sire line is dead. But in Japan, it is on fire.
King
So
Kamehameha.
sons and grandsons of King Mambo and great grandsons of King Mambo are still top 10 in Japan, which is producing arguably some of the nicest racehorses in the world right now.
Mhm.
And that's kind of hard to say from a person from the United States, but Japan is producing some of the nicest racehorses out there. They tie back to Sunday Silence. They tie back to King Mambo as some of their leading stallions over in Japan. So as much as I like that Tapit line through Constitution, I think eventually a grandson of King Mambo is going to end up back in the United States because we'll import one from Japan, and King Mambo will be back alive in the United States with his sire line. So I'm going King Mambo on that because of what he's doing in Japan.
I think it's too young in Constitution's career to put him above King Mambo. I'm not saying that I don't think he'll ever get there. I just don't think he's stood long enough to be able to have that. I do think it'll be interesting to see how Independence Hall's kiddos do, because that's a huge moment for him. So at this point in time, I'm going King Mambo, but that's not with the mindset that Constitution will never get to a point where he could beat King Mambo.
And I think I'll stick with the both of you. I mean, if we gave the same credit for Sunday Silence, what he's doing over there, I think you can carry it right over here, just like
sure.
Ryan spoke to.
Okay, let's go with the next one. This one is extremely difficult for me.
Not for me.
In all honesty, they're tied to me.
This one's easy.
That's big.
I don't know if we may.
But
I think I'm gonna be in the minority here. I'm going with Halo. That's all I can say. It's Halo. Incredible broodmare sire, incredible sires. It's just Halo. He's iconic.
So I guess we're gonna disagree because I'm gonna go with Not This Time. And this is personal bias on this. I got into Not This Time after obviously, we spoke about Tapit before, but Dewey of the two boys, I think that's, what is it?
I'm looking something up while we discuss this.
Okay. So as we spoke before about Tapit, you also have Dewey, who actually I think is becoming my favorite of the two boys that we have. But I think that line is starting to hit now, and at least modernly, I'm starting to hear that more and more and more as we go on. So that's going to be my decision. I don't know much about Halo besides the Beyonce song, so I'm going to go with Not This Time.
And I'm not shading Not This Time with this. I just think he's young in his career. The horse can throw runners at every surface, every distance, and I think that's extremely powerful. The one thing that makes me a little nervous about him is I have seen the epicenters weren't as received well as I thought they would have been. But we'll see the epicenters hit the track next year, and we'll see how they go from there. Yes, they hit well, but I was expecting them to do even better. He didn't. I think he barely had any in the Saratoga yearling sale.
So love Not This Time. Mm-hmm. Love being a son of Giants Causeway. That really he's more Stormcat conformationally
Mhm.
and looks and attitude than he is Giants Causeway. But I will have to state, if there was not a Halo, there would not be a Not This Time,
Yep.
because Halo is in his pedigree. Halo produced Sunday Silence. Halo produced um, Devil's Bag, Glorious Song, um, uh, not Glorious Song. Yeah, Glorious Song, Ballad. Just, and we look for mares. Reddy's Image is a Halo line
Mhm.
stallion as well. So
Mhm.
although he might have been, and most likely was, the most vile, mean horse alive at the time, and maybe of any time, you can't argue with what he's done.
Yeah.
Through Sunday Silence, through his daughters, and it's just, I Halo's a heart. As much as I would love to say Not This Time, because I love the horse, I love Halo way more than that.
I was
So
gonna think you lost your damn mind
Halo
if
is
you
who I'm
went with
going with.
anybody but Halo.
Well, my mind's already lost.
Yeah, well, you know how much I look for Halo and pedigrees.
Yep.
I I like the attitude that he passes.
Yeah. Cool. I think that's
I
the wrap up
believe
of Division 2.
that is the end of our Stallion Showdown.
Boom. That was fun. Not too much
All right,
drama
so
this
now
time
let's move
around,
on
but I
to
have
the
a
next one.
feeling we'll have more drama after.
Every week we're going to get back to our Hoosier roots. We have operations in Indiana. Nick and I both grew up in Indiana, so we're going to do a segment every week called the Hoosier Highlight. This week it's brought to you by the Stallion Tapit. He's the 2017 Belmont Stakes winner and stands at Indiana Stallion Station. So we've got some big news for the state of Indiana with a new sire coming to the state. Maximus Security has actually landed and is at Breakaway Farm. Will be staining his first season at stud in Indiana for the 2026 breeding season. What do you think about that, Nick?
I think that's really exciting. So Maximum Security was a Coolmore stallion. He's by New Year's Day. And he's a horse that unfortunately sometimes when connections aren't the most transparent about things. I'm talking about his racing connections, not even his stallion connections or any of that. But during his racing career, there was quite a bit of scandal around him. And sometimes when that happens, that will ruin a stallion's chances at succeeding. So I'm glad that they moved him early so that way he can kind of overcome that controversy and become more efficient as a stallion in the regional market. And I think it couldn't happen to better people. I mean, Breakaway did just lose one of their big stallions with Calculator. So there are some spaces for him to fill. I think his speed's going to be a great asset here in the state, though. So very good asset for the state.
Yeah, I know who the partners are that now have the horse, and definitely congratulations to them on bringing such a high-profile stallion to the state of Indiana. Um, I think it's absolutely phenomenal to have that caliber of a horse come to the state. There's a lot of breeders' incentives,
Mm-hmm.
for mares from all over the country to be able to come here and their babies run, for good prices in restricted races, and then the breeders, get a 20% breeders award for every win at the track here in Indiana, which is Horseshoe Indianapolis.
And
And
Maximum
speaking of Horseshoe
Security's
Indianapolis,
well. Maximum Security's top runner at this point in time is Instant Replay, who won the Sunland Park Derby. He edged out my racehorse's Caldera to score that victory. So yeah, I think it's a great opportunity for Indiana to kind of boost the quality of stock that we're producing.
Well, speaking of Indiana breds and Indiana sires in Horseshoe, Indianapolis, October 25th, we have Champions Day at the track, which is going to feature 6 stakes races for Indiana sires and Indiana breds. It will have, all of the stakes races are a minimum of $100,000. We have a $200,000 filly race, the filly and mare race, the Lady Foghorn, and then we have the $250,000 Unreachable Star for colts and geldings, 3 years old and up. Nick and I have attended this, and Justin has attended this several times. It gives you that hometown feel with, it's a great place to bring family out to, everything from normal track festivities to food trucks and face painting and, just
A
fun for the whole
buffet
family
that
through
no
the
one
day.
plays about.
Yeah. And, there's a lot of famous people that end up at the track at that day. We're definitely having a lot of, in the past, we've had a lot of the Pacers and NBA players from the past and currently. I don't know who they have on the slate for this year, but there's always, with a lot of the times we'll look over and we'll see Brad Cox there or Steve Asmussen. Some of the big trainers are actually there on that day as well.
Yeah, for sure. I'm looking forward to it. This year it's going to be kind of a quick event for Justin and I because I am at Old Friends the night before, but I'm really excited to get in, and it's always a great celebration of the Indiana Breds and Sires. And you never know who you're going to see because they may be taking off during Champions Day, and then you may see them pop up in the Oaklawn meet in open company representing the state well. So it's always a fun look at what we're producing.
Yeah, and another big benefit: admission is free. So it's something you can go with your whole family, and it not cost you a bunch of money to get in, and you get to see good racing, and you get to have a lot of fun at the same time. If you can't make it to the track, definitely, get on your wherever you get your thoroughbred race coverage. I don't want to mention the individual apps that you can use or whatever on YouTube.
Most ADWs you can watch the races if you sign up, and you don't have to wager. So that is just a little pro tip if you're wanting to kind of not have to pay to watch.
Yeah.
So we're looking forward to that. And on this segment, we're going to have this segment every week. We'll talk about some of the benefits of breeding in the state of Indiana. We'll do little features on the some stallions that stand here or some horses. We recently had a horse, a mare that has now, after last week, become the richest horse that's Indiana bred in history. We'll
That's
start picking those kind
quartering
of things,
stone.
and eventually we're going to start having guests. Yep. So
And one thing I
that's
will
our
want to
Hoosier
bring up
highlight
that
for
I
the.
do think is cool. Sorry. I think this is
Go
where
ahead.
the delay is coming in. One of the things that I think is important for us to know is we do have a little bit of history in our barn for Champions Day and the Indiana Sired and Bred program. We do have Linton Norris stakes winner Uphold, who won the Unreachable Star. He won the first iteration of the Unreachable Star. So that's one of my favorite races to watch because I always like flipping in the program and I'm like, oh, there's Up's name.
Yeah.
And at some point, we've got another thing. It's called the Risen Storm update, which we're going to be getting to here really soon. We'll talk about Uphold, what he did on the track, the winningest son of our stallion Lintnor. We'll talk about some of our brood mares and This week we're gonna have a pretty good update on Truth, whose real name is Truth from Adair. Any of you that have watched us on TikTok know the story of her, but we'll cover some of that through the next segment, which will be the Risen Storm update.
So now for the Risen Storm update. We caught up with our 2-year-old racehorse, Truth from Adair, this past weekend. She's currently at High Point Training Center, that is in LaGrange, Kentucky, and she's with Jeff Hiles. Now we have kind of had a little bit of a slower journey with her. People don't really know how hard it is to get a horse to the racetrack. The most difficult time in a horse's career is actually the moment from when they begin training to when they actually get to their first race, because you're dealing with a lot of things like their bones are getting used to the workload, their bodies are adjusting. So these past few weeks, or few months rather, we kind of backed off on Truth a little bit. She was experiencing some shin sensitivity and some growing pains because she is a very tall girly. But this past weekend, she did pick up the pace for the first time. Did a tiny furlong, 2-minute clip. So, I mean, granted, it was like a 15-second furlong, but not, she wasn't being asked to run hard or anything like that. So she did that solo. And then next week, she's going to breeze in company with a authentic filly.
All right, so we happen to have that little pick up the pace video. I'll go ahead and share it right now, and then maybe we can talk about that here in just a minute.
Yep. All right, you're going to see her come around this turn, and then when she hits the green and white pole, she's going to move out a little. You're going to see the rider ask her to engage in the work a bit more. There we go. All right.
Man, it is so crazy to see her.
Yeah.
It's so crazy to see her at this point. With everything that, how life started out for her, and, we're getting closer and we're getting closer. Hopefully in December we see her make her first start if she's ready.
Yeah, I think that's definitely doable. I think the big thing with her that Jeff's been really good about is he's made sure that she has a very solid foundation on her. And one thing I appreciate about the program is he's very transparent of why he does what he does, why he structures things the way that he does. So I feel pretty confident that she's going to get that December debut, which would make her the only one of Dare's kiddos to debut at 2 years old.
Yeah, it's just absolutely, every time you send me a video from when you go down there, it's just so hard to believe that that's her. I mean, we've got video from literally day one of her all the way through now. And to be honest, she's been a big reason why we've had the followers that we do on other social media applications at this point.
Yeah,
and to be honest, she kind of revitalized the whole Risen Storm idea. We had originally, been into the breeding and the racing. Took us down to where we were just focusing on stallions, and then her mom popped up in the sale. So she is more responsible for changing things in the last 5 years. Even though she's only 2, she pivoted the entire company at this point.
And I think the big thing that's, is kind of underrated about owning a young racehorse is it is a mental and emotional journey for you as the owner as well, because, we have had some of those start and stop moments with her. in her training journey. And, I've made it very clear to our trainer that, it's just the fact that she's gotten here to this point that we're happy with. And we'd love for her to go out and win, don't get me wrong. But I'm just proud that, she survived. She's doing well. And her trainer seems to really love her movement. He likes the way that she has a big stride for her size. And it's very efficient. So, I don't know. We'll see. We don't think that she's a sprinter, but it's not because of lack of speed. It's the way she's built because she is so leggy for a filly.
Right. Yeah. We'll use this to, use this segment weekly to talk about things specifically related to us, whether it be broodmares, babies. We have babies coming next year. We have breeding plans for the broodmare band, which went from nothing to
No boy.
100 mile an hour in a matter of 2 years.
I may have another one.
Okay, I'm game.
Yeah.
So this part of this part of it, we'll get to know, what we're really doing, where we're focused. Whether we've got 4 stallions, we've got quite a few brood mares. We breed in Kentucky to Kentucky stallions. We have a Seize the Gray baby coming next year. We have a Charge It baby coming next year. We have a Tapit baby coming next year. And that's right now. Who knows? We may end up having another
you
mare
may
bought.
have it in due time.
Yeah. So, I guess we'll be talking about this later.
Yep. So you'll stay on after this?
Well, yeah, I'll call you. Yeah, I'll stay on after this. Like to thank everybody for watching our first full episode of this. This is something, we will get better the more often we do it. There will probably be more arguments and that kind of stuff between Nick and I once we get further into the. Yeah. So we hope you come back. We want you to like and subscribe, hit the notification bell on YouTube so that every time we post something that the new one's out there. We're going to be setting up on Spotify too, I believe, here over the next week.
Yep.
So thanks everybody for watching. Make sure you comment any of your questions for our Q&A section, and we'll see you next week.